It all started with a sound you never want to hear in the middle of the night. A soft thump, just enough to pull you out of a good dream. I figured it was probably a raccoon rummaging through my garbage again, so I just rolled over and tried to ignore it. But the next morning, my mailbox was sprawled across the yard like it had been in some bar fight. Post bent, metal twisted, hanging by a single rusty bolt, looking sad and almost embarrassed. Honestly, I thought maybe a delivery driver had misjudged the curb or something, so I shrugged it off, hammered it back in, and went on with my day. Then, 2 days later, bam, same story, but worse. This time the whole post was ripped out of the ground, roots and all, like someone had backed over it on purpose. That's when I realized this wasn't just bad luck. It was the opening salvo in some bizarre suburban war I didn't even know I was part of. I started keeping an eye out, and like clockwork, every couple of nights my poor mailbox got flattened, again. Sometimes there were deep tire marks curving onto my lawn. Other times it looked like someone just barreled right through it without a second thought. I would rebuild, repaint, try to make it look halfway decent, and every single time it got trashed within 48 hours. At first, I thought maybe I was overreacting, maybe some kids messing around, or a neighbor who just had it out for my mail. But it kept happening. I even tried staying up one night with a flashlight in one hand and a bag of jerky in the other, like some kind of wildlife hunter on patrol. But whoever was doing this had the timing of a cat burglar, striking only when I was asleep or distracted. Asked my neighbors, but all I got were guesses. One heard a loud engine revving at 2 a.m., another thought he saw a gray SUV hanging around near my driveway. But honestly, half the people on our street drive gray SUVs. Pretty soon, I started feeling like I was losing my mind. I filed a complaint with the HOA, a big mistake. They said they'd look into it, which, as you probably know, means they're going to do absolutely nothing. So I got creative. I mounted a fake plastic owl on top of my mailbox, hoping it would scare off the vandals. The next morning, the owl was lying face down in the grass, its beak dented like it had tried to stand. Guard and got crushed too. That was about my breaking point. Whoever was doing this wasn't just reckless, they were enjoying it. I grabbed a clipboard, stapled pictures of my mailbox destruction all over it, and marched straight to the HOA office like I was delivering evidence for a murder investigation. And who did I find behind the desk but Karen, the undisputed queen of neighborhood drama? She flashed me a smile sharp enough to cut glass, one of those, "I'm about to ruin your day and enjoy every minute of it" grins. I told her everything, handed over the photos, and waited for her to do something. She blinked at me like she'd never heard of a mailbox before. "Oh, your mailbox," she said, dragging out the words like I was asking for the moon. These older posts snap pretty easily. Could have been the wind. I just stared. Wind strong enough to leave tire marks? Please. She gave me the usual HOA scripted response. They'd look into it. But while I was there, she suggested I make sure my mailbox was HOA compliant or I might get fined for breaking the rules. Yeah, that happened. My mailbox gets destroyed, and suddenly I'm the problem. Anyway, I patched it up again. New post, fresh paint, reflective tape, went way above and beyond to avoid any more compliance issues. I even buried it deeper and braced it tighter than before. For a few days, nothing happened. I thought maybe Karen had finally taken action. Maybe I'd get a break. I even saw her jogging past my house one morning, decked out in a blinding pink tracksuit like she'd just robbed a cotton candy store. She nodded at me, gave me that same dead-eyed smile, and I thought, okay, maybe this whole thing's over. Spoiler, it wasn't. That Sunday morning, I was at my window, coffee in hand, socks on, with zero patience left. I saw Karen's gray SUV creeping up the road slowly. She pulled up right by my yard, scanned the area, and without hesitation slammed the gas. She mowed down my brand new mailbox like she was auditioning for Fast and Furious HOA edition. I watched in total disbelief as she reversed, ran over it again for good measure, and then casually parked like nothing had happened. No shame, no hiding, just pure, I run this place and you can't stop me energy. I rushed outside, mug, still in hand, and yelled, "Karen, what the hell was that?" She got out of her car, visor pulled low, acting like she'd just shown up for brunch. "Oh, that? I didn't see it. Your mailbox must have jumped out in front of me." I pointed out it had been there for 5 years, but she just waved me off. It doesn't even match the HOA-approved color scheme. It's supposed to be antique bronze, not whatever sad shade you've got going on. The kicker? Her SUV was exactly the same color. I snapped, You mean like your car? She blinked, clearly offended, and drove off. She said, "It's not my fault your mailbox isn't up to standard. Technically, I could fine you right now." That was the moment I realized she wasn't careless. She was on a power trip, convinced she could do whatever she wanted just because she wore that stupid HOA badge. But if she thought I was going to back down, she had another thing coming. That night, I decided I wasn't calling the cops or filing another complaint. I was going to handle this myself. I spent the entire weekend rebuilding the mailbox, but this time it was a fortress. Steel lining inside, welded to a concrete base buried deeper than most tree roots. On the outside, it looked normal, the same hated gray paint, just to twist the knife. It was ready for battle. I installed a camera and a fake squirrel on top, motion sensor and all. My plan was set. A couple of days later, I was back at my window, coffee in hand, slippers on, watching for the show. Right on cue, Karen's gray SUV rolled up. She gunned it again, but this time, instead of splinters, there was a crunch. The bumper folded in half, the hood crumpled, and the airbag exploded in her face. The mailbox didn't budge. I nearly spit out my coffee. Karen stumbled out, hair wild, face red, looking like she'd just gotten into a fistfight with the laws of physics. She stared at the mailbox, rubbed her forehead, totally lost. I walked out, phone already playing the security footage. "Might want to get that looked at, Karen," I said, barely hiding my smirk. Funny how the mailbox didn't come out of nowhere this time. She turned tomato red, threatening to report me for creating a safety hazard. I laughed. "Go ahead. How about the footage? Want me to email it to your insurance?" She glared, climbed back into her half-wrecked car, and peeled off down the street, dignity dragging behind her. My mailbox was still standing, not even a scratch. Built like justice. The footage got a standing ovation at the next neighborhood meeting. Yeah, I brought popcorn. So here's my question for you. Did Karen get what she deserved? Or did I go too far? Let me know in the comments where you draw the line between standing up for yourself and starting World War III over a mailbox.